Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today is Masters Day. I'm going to somebody's house to watch the Masters this afternoon, and I'm going to be making bacon wrapped pickles. So pickle spears wrapped in bacon. And I was watching a video a minute ago. Actually, sometimes if you look over here to the right, you'll see some of the videos I've been watching. And so like I cook on a griddle sometimes. Best hamburger you'll ever have is a smash burger you cook on the griddle, because the grease kind of stays in the hamburger, and it is really good. That's my favorite thing to make now. But bacon wrapped pickle spears, and I've got some jalapeno sausage I'll be making. Now, before we get going, this is important. Because today in the private group, we're gonna take a little peek down the rabbit hole, folks. Or have we been watching a movie in crypto and in politics? And there's also another XRP account. You know, over the years, I've been intrigued by a few accounts that have popped up. Most of them always disappear at some point. And there's another one that's come up on my radar that I'm going to show you, and something that they said. These are people that they're just not saying what everybody else is saying, and I lock onto these things. And this one's another one I'm starting to watch. Is all the world a stage? I think a lot of crypto is all the world a stage, but we're going to take a little peek behind the curtain today on a few things. And I've also got a document that if you've been here a while, you've probably seen it, but a lot of them haven't. But even if you have seen it, I'm going to show you something about Bitcoin that could very well shock many of you, even that have been around for a while. But some of you have probably seen what I'm going to show, but I think probably more haven't. So you got two ways to join. You can either go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, or you can click right here below all my videos on the join button if you'd rather join through YouTube. Same thing, less than a cup of cost for a cup of coffee. You get the extra content and the full video, but all without commercials. Okay. Now I introduced you to my new partner, which is Caleb and Brown. These guys, and I want to show you, not in my words, but I want to show you the main two reasons that I decided to partner with these guys. Okay. And by the way, the link to Caleb and Brown, they gave me a special link. Click on the link. It's at the very top of the description below this YouTube video. Click on that link if you decide you'd like to open an account. This is what I've been looking for ever since I got into crypto, folks. This is the first thing.
A cryptocurrency platform of any kind is to ensure that
Let me hit the refresh button.
The most important thing when running a cryptocurrency platform of any kind is to ensure that your assets are held safely. So custody is by far the biggest primary concern for Caleb Brown. What we do is we partner with Fireblocks. Fireblocks gives us an institutional grade custody platform to look after your assets. Throughout the 8 years we've been in business, exchanges have been hacked all around the world. So what we do as a brokerage is we really restrict the counterparty risk.
Okay, now, by the way, Caleb and Brown, if you're listening, I have to assume that these commercials you guys put out here do not have copyrighted music over the top of them. If they do, then this thing will be, I'll have to cut the videos out here. I wish if you're listening, please make a video. If this does have copyrighted music, I'm going to have to cut it out. So remake them with video that's not copyrighted so I can play them all the time here, which I will. And I also wanted to show you this one. Now, by the way, this is Jackson Zing, who's the CEO of Caleb and Brown. Here he's talking about the fact that you get a personal rep.
during their Australian hours. If you're trying to assign a broker who's available during their Australian hours, if you're trying to contact us at any other time of the day, you'll be routed to our after hours team. So the service is available 24/7, but if you want to specifically speak to your relationship manager or your broker, on the portal, there'll be a little green light during the hours that they're operational. All trading features, all deposit withdrawal features, all profile administration features are available 24/7. It is simply the conversation that you'd like to have with your relationship manager that will be restricted to 9 to 10 hours that they're online for.
Okay, so just to reiterate, folks, if you didn't get to see the two videos I just played, it's because I had to take them out of this video if there was copyrighted music. I didn't think about that before, but I hope that that is not copyrighted music. But if it is, and this is cut out of the video, here's the summary. At Caleb and Brown, you get a personal representative that you can actually call, which you can't get at Coinbase, you can't get anywhere. And you get institutional grade custody. And I know a lot, but I think you could also use the platform. If you didn't want to store your stuff there, you could use that platform just to do your trades and then put it onto your Ledger and NOS or whatever, if that's what you wanted to do. But that's not for me. I'm not, I don't think in the long term that's the play. So go to the link in the top of the description of this video. You'll see the link before you even hit the more info button or whatever it's called. Also, we got to hit this before we get going. 46 days left. This thing, we're setting a record at XRP Las Vegas. Go to xrplasvegas.com and get your tickets. You can get the discount room and discount tickets. 46 days left. Okay, check it out. XRP's been moving around today. The market is up. It's got 2.67 trillion. I think maybe it's about where it was yesterday. I hadn't looked, but I think that's about where we were yesterday. So the market's kind of flat, but XRP has moved up in the last few days. In fact, all your, wait a minute. I was going to show you two things. One, those who held strong through the scam bear will be blessed by the holy deployment and liquidity rally of 2025. I do believe that. Look at this. All you're hearing is Bitcoin, 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 tariffs, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, tariffs, 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 Bitcoin, Bitcoin. That's all you're seeing in the media right now. Meanwhile, XRP on the year is up 340.18%, crushing all of the digital assets in the top 10. But you're not going to hear about it on CNBC, are you? I agree with Dom here from Easy A. President Trump says something positive will come out with China. We are very close to a ferocious rip. All it takes is positive news about U.S.-China trade deal. That's a ferocious XRP rip. I agree with him. I think that this is the setup. And remember, don't forget, because all the liquidity comes after this. I mean, the big liquidity.
Under the Biden administration and the Kitzler at the SEC, they just didn't like crypto. What I've said very often is simply this: we must innovate before we regulate. That means allowing innovation to happen here at home in the digital asset space is critical to American economic dominance across the globe. The good news is President Trump is leading the way to a crypto revolution, starting here at the Banking Committee, and that's why we've moved very quickly the Genius Act, focusing on the crypto world. That's how you get things done. It's passed through my committee in a bipartisan fashion. Next, market structure on its way to be heard in the committee, marked up, and I believe passed into law by August.
There you go. And then there's this. I think this is out of India.
We've seen the Treasury Secretary in the US. He said a recession is coming. It is happening. So recession happening, that means overvalued stocks will continue dropping. So people will, instead of covering their margins, they'll close their positions. Once they close their positions, they don't need to sell Bitcoin anymore, right?
Yes.
Then they might invest more into Bitcoin. And this is, we might see Bitcoin go up again and the correlation becoming negative rather than positive.
And one last question, Ryan. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the change in the U.S. approach to Bitcoin and crypto more generally. To what extent do you think, with all the, I know you're quite negative on the U.S., but you think that the changes on the U.S. markets could, the change of the U.S. government approach to Bitcoin could maybe in a way save or give another boost to the industry in the US?
100%, absolutely. So the winner out of all of this mess that is happening, in my opinion, are virtual assets, Bitcoin and other coins, especially the ones that are linked to real world assets. So yes, absolutely. In all of this, yes, relatively negative on the US for many, many reasons, but the positive out of it is the departure of Mr. Gensler, more crypto-friendly in the administration. And let's not forget, when you own the second largest Bitcoin reserve in the world because of seizures, you want this asset to flourish. You don't want it to go down. So yes, I do see a second life or third or fourth life, whatever you want to call it, and Bitcoin in the US, absolutely.
I do too. Here's the tokenized real world assets projections. Look at this. Estimated growth in tokenization through 2033 from 0.6 to 18.9 trillion. Do those multiples in your head about the liquidity that's going to flow into crypto. It's not hard to figure out. A little bit of truth here.
CEO, New Vision Wealth Management, is here with us. Dr. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you a question that everybody is asking now, because there's a lot of drama happening in financial markets and especially around US assets. Everybody is asking about the role of Bitcoin as a diversifier in a portfolio and how does it compare to the role of gold. What do you prefer as an asset class that reduces the volatility of the investment portfolio?
Thank you very much, May. Thank you for having me. I cannot compare them. I cannot put them in the same bucket. They are completely two different animals, in my opinion. So gold is the traditional precious metal asset that is used by central banks to back their currencies. Until we get to the point where central banks, they start using Bitcoin as a backup for their currency, we will still favor gold as a hedge, as a protection against inflation, as a protection against geopolitics. Bitcoin is still not there. Bitcoin has its part in a portfolio, but it's a completely different part than gold.
Okay, then we've got this is Ray Dalio on the changing the monetary order.
I'm more worried about the greater dynamic of these conflicts. I'm worried about more serious issues
that are structural,
the financial,
and hard
the
to fix.
political, the financial, the political, and the geopolitical, because they feed on itself if you get a bad one.
Ray, thank you so much for your time today.
I think that this is not a normal recession kind of situation. We are changing the monetary order. In other words, when we start to think there's supply and the demand for debt, and one man's debts are another man's assets, as I said. And then the question is, money, which is debt, is supposed to be both a medium of exchange and a storehold of wealth. And there are times in history, and this is one of those times in history, that there's a question of whether bonds are an effective storehold of wealth because of this supply-demand. And
okay, and then here's, folks, stablecoins are everything. Listen to this.
Since we sanctioned the dollar, or sanctioned Russia and froze their FX reserves and their U.S. Treasury access, Eastern central banks in particular, but central banks around the world, prior to that, were buying about 118 tons of gold a year. After 2022, the amount is now about 290. You've got to see there's a causation and correlation here. There's a distrust of this treasury, not just because it was weaponized, but also because our public debt is unsustainable, irrational, and unbelievable. And so it's an unwanted asset from a discredited issuer, and it's also weaponized. So these are major signs of countries, central banks, and economies slowly but surely, not overnight, but clearly moving away from the US dollar.
Now we're going to go into the group, okay? And we're going to take a little peek into several, at least 2 or 3 rabbit holes. a lot of you, if you haven't been around for a while, you'll be like, whoa. Just sit back and watch. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.